How's it going, YouTube? Navy Sooner here. So today on my reviews of stuff, I'm going to be reviewing this Benchmade 940. So you may have heard me talk a lot of trash about Benchmade, folding knives, and just overall what I don't like about them, especially in my Griptilian video. But this one, they almost got right. I mean, it's not a bad knife. It's a great knife. It's a good pocket. It's a good everyday carry knife. But there's just things that they could have done a little bit better. Yeah, I know they've had these knives out for a while, and they're not going to change them. Blah 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 blah. But I mean, hell, they want me to come over and design something that another version of the 940. To make this even better, I definitely will. That's a hey Benchmade, call me. Anyways, about this knife, obviously it is an axis lock on it. It's got S30V steel on it, which is a decent steel, much better than that CPM 154 for however $120 for or more for the Griptilian. The blade length is 3.4 inches, and the overall length open is 7.87 inches. It kind of compares to the Zero Tolerance 0450. Blade length is almost the same. Open the Benchmade is a little bit longer. Open and whatnot, but they're comparably the same, and I'll get into comparisons of them later. So my pros of the Benchmade 940 is it's pretty lightweight. The ZT450 is just slightly heavier. I don't have a scale, but trust me on it, it feels slightly heavier. What I also like about it is the scales on it are aluminum, and the finish on the aluminum scales is it's kind of like a matte finish, and it's good. It feels good in the hands, and it doesn't bite your hand too much, but it's also gonna be very grippy for you. And then another pro is the S30V steel. I don't know, S30V and S35 are two of probably the best steels you can get on pocket knives. Well, that's my opinion. You could probably think differently, but those are some of the best steels that you can keep an edge retention on and be able to resharpen them fairly easily. Okay, so some of the cons that I have, this purple backspacer here. Well, I mean, first off, why did they put purple in there? They need to have more options. And I know you got the 940 Tac 1, the 940 Tac 2, the 941, the 943, but I mean, yeah, some of them have these standoffs instead of spacers, but I mean, really, purple? Yeah, and with the green, it's weird. The jimping right here on the back of the knife is fairly useless. It doesn't grab nothing. The finish on the knife itself, on the scales itself, grabs your hand more than the jimping on the back of the handle. But I mean, they could have left the handle in there, and like they could have left cutting out that, and you'd probably get a little bit more bite in on your finger. Another thing I don't like about it, thumb studs. I mean, I can get over thumb studs if they're far enough back, and this is fairly far back, but you lose part of your to be able to slice through something, you lose about that much of your blade right there to be able to slice. So, I mean, that's one of the drawbacks of having thumb studs for deployment options. Another thing that I do not like about this knife is, even though it's aluminum, if they're gonna put, I don't know if you can see in there, but they got liners in there that only go to about here on the knife. If you're gonna put a liner in there, at least put a full liner in there. It's not gonna hurt anything, especially, I mean, how thin these liners are in there, or just take them out, one of the two. I understand that the axis lock needs liners, but if you're gonna put liners in there, put them all the way to the end. I'm not a big fan of the axis lock just because of the way that you have to adjust your hand to get it in the palm of your hand like that. It's just not used to it, so that's why I'm not a big fan of it. I'm sure if I use a lot more, I'll be okay with it. This one's fit and finish is a little bit better than my Griptilian that I have. There's just slight, the most minuscule of the blade being off center. I don't have any issues with the axis lock getting locked up like I do with my Griptilian. And granted, this knife is a little bit more expensive than the Griptilian. But that being said, things that can make this knife better. The price. $215 MSRP. That's how much you pay if you buy it from Benchmade. You can find it for around $190. The best I found on it, was $182.75 on Blade HQ, and that's today, January 19th, 2018. So, but the only reason I wanted to get it was because I could get it for $150 on the base. It's the perks of being in the military, right? Being able to get things cheaper, tax-free on the base. But it's still the 182, 160, and that's if people are having a sale on them, because Benchmade I forget the name of the system of pricing, but they're trying to make everybody sell that knife for $215. So this one right here that is $160 has a slightly better steel, an S35. It's got better, you're not going to lose any of the blade due to thumb studs. These are two very similar and very good knives, but this one's cheaper. Yeah, everybody's gonna talk about, well, it's a Kershaw anyways, even though it says 0 tolerance. I don't care. It's S35V steel. It's really good steel. It's a good knife, and it's on ball bearing system. So yeah, they can take the price of this down. It's like anything, you're paying for that right there. Let's see, yeah, you're paying for that right there. You're not paying for this in the price of it. You're paying for that right there. And that's what really upsets me about Benchmade. Another way that they could have made this better was different opening system, because like I said before, these thumb studs just get in the way when you're cutting stuff or slicing and whatnot. And sometimes, well, for me, since I don't do it much with thumb studs, your thumb gets a little raw when you're doing it a lot. And then they could have, I know it would have been in the way, but they could have made a flipper somehow, or if they didn't have the axis lock, they could have had a flipper, or they could have done like the Griptilian that I have and put a thumb hole up here. That way, I mean, you can still flip it out like that with your thumb, and you have plenty of, you still can use the end of that blade right there. And Benchmade makes a couple of flippers, I believe. I can't remember the numbers on them, but yeah, those are things that they could have done to make this better. And also brought the liners a little bit further back. And yeah, pros, cons, they could have done stuff like that. They could offer this in different options with the spacer and the color and all that stuff, which they do, but some of them are a lot more for the knife. Well, my overall thoughts on this knife are, it's a good knife. I mean, if you can get it for the price that I can get it, $150, which is cheaper than the zero tolerance, but you're going to be lucky to find it for $150. You got to be in the military, or married to someone in the military, or dependent. That you're not going to be able to find it for that price unless you go on the secondary market, get it used. But it's a good knife. Some things I don't like about it, some things I don't like about Benchmade, but I'm probably going to put it in my regular rotation. And I've used it a little bit. And I like it. Just some things they could have done differently. So yeah, that's my review on this knife. And I hope y'all have a good weekend. Navy Sooner out.